What is good, everyone? This is your host, Deanna Radulescu with Label Free Podcast. To live your best life, you must live label free. As always, bring you incredible guests from all over the world, so sit back, relax, and tune in. My next guest is an author, speaker, documentary maker, relationship coach, also known as the Relationship Guy. Please welcome John Kenny. John, welcome to the show.
Yeah, thank you for having me. Pleasure to be here.
Well, first, let's just tell the audience where you're joining us from.
I'm joining you from just outside London in the UK, just north of London.
We couldn't tell by that excellent accent that you have.
Thank you.
Well, we love our people in London. We know we have quite a few of you out there listening. So if you listen to this, and you'll have one of your fellow people in London there on the show. So, John, tell us about what got you into being a relationship coach. Because I feel like there's always a defining moment for my coaches that puts them on the path that wants to help people, right? And I love that part of the story because I think that it really allows the audience to know like where your heart is coming from and why it's so important for you to do what you do.
Yeah, definitely. So my journey, probably I could say that I've always been in the service industry in some way, shape or form. When I left school, I was working in retail and worked there until I decided I wanted to do other bits and pieces. And then I ended up being a firefighter. I was a personal trainer.
Wow.
Then I decided, purely by chance, because I was trying to do something else at the time, I discovered therapy. And so I got really interested in psychology and decided to train to be a therapist. And then after being a therapist for about 4 years or so, I had some coaching.
Okay.
And I learned all about myself to a certain degree in my therapy, but I didn't really know how to resolve the reoccurring issues. And it was coaching that taught me how to sort of turn a new clean page and start writing a new story for myself. And so not only did it help me to see the things I was doing that were leading me to kind of the same results over and over again, it made me realize that I didn't have to keep doing that, and there were ways of changing things.
Sure.
So that's when I decided to train as a coach, and that was back in 2012, and then went completely into the coaching field in 2016. And I kind of blended my therapeutic background into my coaching. So I kind of call my coaching therapeutic coaching. So the relationship coaching that I do is based on understanding our past and how relationships deeply impact on us, what our relationship beliefs are. And the reason I decided to go into the relationship field is because my own relationship history is pretty...
I was just going to ask you, like, okay, so please, what was happening in your life that you had to get some therapy and got into coaching?
Yeah. So I went into therapy because I was really struggling with certain things. There were things I couldn't really understand. I was feeling things I didn't really know how to deal with. And so I had a couple of years of therapy. But I'd already decided that I wanted to train to be a therapist at that time as well. So I'd already started my kind of early training in P2. And my relationship stuff was the stuff that would come up most in my own therapy. And then when I was having the coaching side of things, I had a tendency to keep repeating patterns of relationships, that's using the same types of people all the time. And I would end up in the same sort of place. I would tendency to choose people that I felt I needed to fix, but weren't ever going to be fixed. So I always felt a bit rubbish at the end. So I always felt like I was never good enough. So my main kind of self-belief stuff is I'm unlovable, I'm never good enough, I'm unworthy, and all that kind of terrible that we carry. So I was repeating that in every relationship, more or less, I was having, even including a lot of friendships as well as intimate relationships. And it was when the coaching sort of helped me to recognize what I was doing and that there are things I could do to change that coaching became my choice of moving forward, and then to coach people in the same space. But also as a therapist, I would say 90% of the stuff that people would come with was relational based. So whether they had depression, anxiety, or whatever it is that they were going through, there would be a relationship element to whether it was a past relationship stuff like childhood stuff, whether it was current relationship stuff they were going through that was triggering, feel a certain way. There was nearly always a relational element to it. And so I thought helping people in their relationships would make the biggest impact on their general kind of overall well-being, fulfillment, and happiness in their life.
Sure. Did you figure out where that unworthiness stemmed from for you? Did it
Well, it's all based in my childhood stuff. Yeah, it's all based in my relationship with my parents, my brother, and other things that were happening sort of as I was growing up.
Yeah.
I feel that I probably wasn't worth a huge amount. Definitely wasn't worth loving or giving any time to.
I've struggled with that myself, so I can understand that journey. For a man, I feel like it's a little, and we're gonna stereotype here for a minute. Like I think for men, it's harder for them to admit that, because they're supposed to be so like strong and in control of everything. And I think that's great that you were able to identify that and work on it.
I've had to actually modify that slightly because I think in the past I probably overplayed that card a bit.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah. So I was probably looking for sympathy. I was looking to be understood. I was looking for people to go, "Oh, poor you."
Yeah.
Type. So I think I probably overshared.
Huh.
So that I was kind of the reverse of maybe what a normal man would do, which is keeping it all to themselves. Although I wouldn't go to any kind of relational depths, I was very full of connection and commitment. So I probably wouldn't go to a huge amount of relational depth. So I would use it as like a please like me card.
Yeah.
So I would probably overshare that, but not authentically and not in a deep and meaningful way.
But do you think that's part of the process for some people? Like, once they identify what that is and they want to overshare it, and then as they start healing and getting more aware of who they are and building that self-love, that they no longer have to overshare that. Because I feel like that was part of my journey too.
Yeah, definitely. I've definitely stopped if I do share, it's very matter of fact type.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
This kind of happens.
They're done now. I'm over it. Yeah. Now let's move on.
Yeah. Rather than it being, please like me, please feel sorry for me.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yes, it's become something I don't feel the need to talk about. At the beginning of a relationship, you want to try and keep it as light and fluffy as possible anyway. You don't really want to go into too much of your stuff because there are ramifications for that at the same time, depending on the kind of people that you're going to attract into your life, the kind of people that are going to be interested in you.
Yeah.
So yeah, there's definitely something about, and then if the relationship develops into something for deep and meaningful, then it's okay for you to, go into a little bit more about the stuff that might have pained you in the past, and with a connection built through that, not just for the sake of doing it.
Yeah, no, for sure. And how are you with your relationships today?
Still pretty shocking, to be honest. I thought I'd done a lot of work. Well, I had done a lot of work, and I have a huge amount of work on myself and understanding where I'm coming from. But breaking the patterns was quite difficult, and I actually went so far the opposite way. So when I got divorced a couple of years ago, and the reason that I got married in the first place, or when I met my ex-wife, I've always dated people that I would call anxious type personalities.
Okay.
Which is very much based in my dad's personality. He was always trying to kind of please my dad and get some attention from him and try and make me feel self-worthy about my dad. And then when I married my wife, she was an avoidant. So I like to call myself an avoidant personality in recovery because I've always been pretty avoidant. Okay. And I met someone who was more avoidant than I was by a long. But it was so different to what I was used to dating that I thought, all that work I've done on myself must have worked. I've now attracted a healthy relationship. But actually, the more I was then pushing to be closer to my ex-wife, the more she decided she wanted to run away from me. And so I couldn't do anything about changing that. But that is my mum. So I think I dated my dad my entire life and married my mum. And since my divorce, I've only actually dated one person, and I went back to an anxious type person. So
interesting.
Yeah, it was a bit too soon. It was only sort of 6 months or so after I split up from my ex-wife, so it was a bit too early. But I fell back into because my ex-wife had an affair as well.
Oh.
I think that dented my sort of sense of self-worthiness again. So I went back into the routine of choosing someone who wanted to be with me rather than someone who was actually healthy to be with. So someone that I knew who loved me, but couldn't necessarily be the person that I needed them to be, and I couldn't be the person that they needed me to be to kind of fit into their space. So I kind of did a massive U-turn and went back straight into maybe what I was used to, but not as unhealthy. She wasn't chaotic or destructive like the other relationships I could talk about, but it still wasn't the best place for us to be in. So now, since that relationship come to an end, I'm doing a lot of self-reflection, and I'm doing the work that I would do with my clients, really. I'm
right, exactly.
to the space where I'm only going to attract the type of person I really want now, and I'm not going to settle for something that triggers my deeper kind of held beliefs around relationships and myself.
Yeah. Hi, guys. This is your host, Deanna Radulescu with Label Free Podcast. I'm here to share another exciting partnership with you. I have joined forces with doTERRA. They are the leading provider of high-quality essential oils. I've got some here I like to consume, the ones that are consumable. So like sweet orange is really great. I also really, really love their toothpaste. Natural whitening, and just kind of really helps clean your mouth. You know, we do carry a lot of germs in our mouth, but I've loved this toothpaste. I've ordered it many times. These are some supplements. Here is the Lifelong Vitality Pack. Really great products, high quality products. Definitely recommend it. I also really love the collagen. NMN is a proven anti-aging product. So the collagen and the NMN together is a real game changer. I'm big into collagen. I believe it. I've been taking it for like 20 years before it's even gotten so popular. And that's probably why I maintain my skin elasticity, my hair and nails. I highly recommend checking out doTERRA if you're a fan of high quality essential oils. Not all essential oils are created the same. Go click the links in the description, sign up, or take advantage of one of my bundles that I'm recommending to you with the toothpaste, also the cleaning products and the supplements. So you guys, thank you so much for tuning in. We really appreciate you, and stay tuned for more to come. And I was going to ask you about that. Like, how does that set you up for success working with your clients? Because I feel like we have to experience certain things in order to teach, right? Those who teach, right? And so I think that we have got to have some of those struggles to be able to, and to overcome them, to be able to understand and connect and be relatable with people that are experiencing the same things. So who is your like ideal client?
Well, in the last couple of years, so that's kind of the other thing about my own personal journey is the last couple of years I've actually realized what you need to put into practice in order to attract the right type of person towards you. Whereas before that, I was more working with people that were in unhealthy sort of relationship spaces, which were very much related to me.
Right.
Now, I'm very much in the, okay, let's move this forward into breaking this pattern. What do we need to know about ourselves? What do we need to know about relationships in order to attract the right type of person? So now I work with people that either have had a history the same as myself, that have always attracted relationships which have never really worked out, never been that fulfilling or met the wants and needs that they have, or people that have never really sort of taken the time to think about the kind of person they want to be with, maybe have focused on career for a long time and now don't really know what kind of person they want to have a relationship with, and find that now they dip in and out of relationships because they don't really know themselves enough to know what they want. But it's really about helping people to understand if you've attracted or never attracted the right type of person towards you, or attracted the wrong type of person towards you, is how do you remedy that to bring the right person into your life?
And maybe you can't answer this in a quick, like give us some tips, but how would someone identify how to attract the right person into their lives?
So that's why I use the kind of therapy stuff with my coaching, is because there's a deep dive into what kind of relationships have you experienced today. If we can understand the kind of relationships we've experienced today, there's generally going to be some kind of theme running through that. And looking at the relationship you've got with yourself, understanding your attachment styles, what your belief systems are all about. Is there a resistance to connection? Is there a resistance to commitment? What is that there for? Then understanding what you really want as from someone in a relationship. As we generally go by, it's not something we put a lot of thought into a lot of the time. We just meet someone and we end up having a relationship.
Yeah, it's true.
But actually thinking about what do we actually want? What kind of relationship are we looking for? And I'm not talking about how much money have they got and how tall they are, and not necessarily those types of things, although they can be quite important. You're not looking at the deeper human being at that point. It's about the morals, values, where they see themselves, how they see themselves, what they can bring to your relationship, and also is understanding what you're prepared to give of yourself. I mean, like I said, one of my biggest issues was I was an avoidant type personality, so I'd only allow myself to get so involved into a relationship before I would then start to switch off, and you wouldn't get much.
Do you still do that?
I'd like to think not. I would say that I didn't in my last relationship, and I tried not to in my marriage. I actually tried to push things forward. And it was because, especially my marriage, she wasn't on the same page as me, that I wasn't able to forge the deeper connection that I was looking for. Sometimes I think, was that actually part of my own defense as well? I'd chosen someone at the beginning, I chose someone I didn't have to be that close to.
Yeah.
And so there is still part of me that's I have to be like hyper vigilant when it comes to relationships. But I tell myself now that actually what I'm missing out on is more important than what I'm trying to run away from. So if I really want to be fulfilled and connected in a relationship, then that's what I want.
Yeah.
And it's something that I'm not going to allow my subconscious to sabotage for me.
Can be a little scary, but you can do it.
Yeah, no, and again, it's about being vulnerable. So I'm happy to be vulnerable. I'm happy to be hurt. I'm happy that if it doesn't work out, I'm happy to put myself into that space. Again, I've been through enough kind of heartache in my life to know that I'm going to be okay.
Yeah.
And coming out the other side, and if I do deeply fall for someone, I do feel deeply connected to someone, it doesn't work out, I will be in pain for a while, but I'll know I'll be all right coming out the other side. So it's telling my brain that that's okay. Whereas when I was a kid, it wasn't okay. It wasn't okay. Right. It wasn't okay for me to keep putting my arms up for love and affection from my parents and to be rejected all the time. Yeah. That became far too painful. So my brain has told me that actually rejection is something I need to avoid, like at all costs. So,
sure. I think we all been programmed like that in a little bit in some sense,
Yeah, even people I know that have had very loving upbringings struggled in certain spaces because when the love wasn't readily available, they took that as rejection. And so in some way that's informed them that love is easily removed. I found that in my case as a kid, the love from my mum, because she's an avoidant type personality, she'd give it and remove it, give it and remove it, give it and remove it.
Oh, wow.
Whereas my dad was more about him. So it was, if you didn't do what he wanted you to do, then he wouldn't give you anything. So it was all very conditioned based on you giving to him first.
Yeah.
And again, that's why I think I've sought out those types of relationships throughout my life, is how much can I give to somebody?
Yeah.
But actually knowing that whatever I give is never going to be enough anyway. And I'd only have to do one tiny thing that didn't fit with what they wanted. And that would cause a lot of problems. And then I'd feel rubbish, rejected, and all those kind of things I experienced when I was growing up.
What point would someone say, enough's enough, I need to go work with John and really fix what's happening in my life? Because there's got to be like that a very similar theme with the people that you work with, that they just decide like, okay, I need help. Right?
Yeah. Is it? Can I swear on it?
Of course, go ahead, swear away.
I think it's that, for fuck's sake, man. There needs to be some kind of space. I think with my one, for me, I changed when I stopped feeling sorry for myself. And I just went, fuck's sake, not again. I'm not doing this anymore.
Yeah.
And that's when I realized that it was about how I needed to look at myself and how I needed to change things.
Yeah.
Rather than looking for someone else to make me feel better, someone else to fill a hole in my life. I needed to fill that hole for myself. So my relationship with myself has completely transformed over the last 10 years or so. So much so that, again, I'm okay if I don't have a relationship.
Yeah.
It's something I want now, not something I need, which was before it was something I needed rather than something that I really wanted. And again, it would lead me down certain paths.
I think a lot of men are like that. Like they need to have that relationship,
And a lot of my clients, to be honest, whether it's male or female, they jump from one relationship to the next.
Yeah.
Or in some cases, they've been single for ages because, they've had enough of being in, and they just thought the right person wasn't out there. And I think it's just going, okay, how important is a relationship for you to have in your life? And how important is it for you to have a healthy relationship in your life? And if you've got to that, for fuck's sake, moment where you've just had enough of either being on your own or being attracted to the wrong type of people.
I love it. Okay. With that being said, where can people find you, connect with you, and learn more of working with you, John?
Yes, the best place to get in contact is just to go to the website, which is www.johnmckennycoaching.com.
And then are you on social and everything?
I'm all over socials, and there's links to my socials on the website. But yeah, if you just put John Kenny Coaching or The Relationship Guy, you can find my podcast. You can find me all over social media.
Excellent. You guys, I'm going to put a few of those links in the show notes. So if you connect with John and want to learn more and need help in your relationships or actually having a relationship, go click the links, go give him a follow and start a conversation. I'm sure he'd love just to connect with you regardless and see if, he can help you. John, this is the part of the show where I like to ask for last words of wisdom or advice. What would you like to leave with us today?
I think probably one of the most important quotes I've ever read is that you can't go back and make a brand new start, but you can start now to make a brand new ending. It was so pertinent to my own realization about life that I was telling myself the same story over and over again. And I couldn't go back. I can't go back and stop what's happened, but I can think differently now. I can do differently now to bring about an ending that suits me.
Yeah. I love that. That's very profound. Thank you for sharing. Thank you for sharing your story and being open and honest and vulnerable for us to understand what it means for, I'm sure, a lot of people out there and that struggle with finding a relationship that is well suited for them and not forcing something or being disconnected from something or repeating patterns because of our childhood. And I think it's important for someone to tell people, for the audience to hear, like, okay, you're not the only one. You're not alone. We all have certain things. We're not all blessed with finding that perfect person. And sometimes we have to do the work to actually find the relationship that's best suited for us. So thank you for being open about that and sharing your skills with me and the audience. We appreciate you.
Oh, absolutely. My pleasure. It's been a pleasure talking to you. Thank you.
Thank you. You guys, this is your host, Deanna Radulescu with Label Free Podcast. To live your best life, you must live label free. As always, don't forget to subscribe, follow, rate, review, comment, share, all those good things. And I'll be back soon with more dynamic guests.